Local Government Association of Salga released a report on the state of water in the country. The report states that South Africans will have a water shortage in the future, but there is a backup plan in place. Now, this report comes weeks after the Blomhof water incident that caused deaths due to water contamination. Joining us now in studio is Xolile George. He is the CEO of Salga. Good to have you. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Leah.
All right, different studies are highlighting that there is going to be a shortage of water in general at some point. What are the other findings of this report in particular?
I think generally the report brings to the fore some of the known challenges that we have as a country, one being a scarce water country, and secondly, the general challenges that we have in terms of providing water in all of the areas in South Africa. There are areas that are really challenged in terms of infrastructure, bulk infrastructure, and in other areas, challenges around operations and maintenance. But the report also speaks positive about the progress we have made as a country in extending the provision of basic services to the rest of citizens, putting a measurement benchmark from 1994 up to date. And I think as a country, we have much to celebrate in terms of access to water and sanitation.
Yeah.
So what we have done as Salga now is to look at a mechanism, a scientific-based mechanism to look at how do we measure progress in terms of a certain set of indicators. So we've set about 6 key indicators where we measure all water service authorities. And those indicators speak to areas like financial management, product quality, reliability in terms of service delivery, as well as water conservation management, which is very key for us to be able to secure water security as a country. Yeah. And we have put on the table about 152 water service authorities in the country. And I think there's a lot of positive trends emerging out of that. But what it does, Leanne, it also gives space for each local service provider to be able to compare positively to others. And we've got good news in a number of municipalities that we've measured.
Yeah.
However, there's also very much challenge areas, much as you mentioned the story of Blomhof, Madibeng, and the case that was released last year in the Eastern Cape. So,
are there plans in place to ensure that a situation like Blomhof never happens again?
There are plans in place. I mean, as tragic as it is now, the new Ministry of Water and Sanitation has been very visible in terms of ensuring that that situation is restored to normality. And in other areas where we need to prevent this kind of development taking place, there's a huge investment that the presidency has put in place. As we all know, the National Infrastructure Commission is spearheading the process of ensuring that there's bulk connectivity in all areas, major dams to be launched right across. But at the same time, ourselves as organized local governments to make sure that the water service authority that we have, they product water on a reliable basis. Yeah, so it's not enough to say there's taps on the streets. Is there running water?
That's the big
Is it
issue.
Quality that is running out there to make sure that you don't have incidences of outbreaks, sanitation system linking up with the water quality system?
When you look at these service delivery protests, I mean, that's really what's at the heart of it. I mean, you've got these taps, but there's no running water coming out of them. What's happening at a local government level to ensure that this is not the situation, that there is water coming out of these taps and there is access to water in all areas of South Africa?
I think it speaks then to the entire water value chain, from source up to treatment, up to distribution by water board, right up to reticulation by a municipality. Somehow, in certain areas, you'll find that there's a breakage on that value chain. And sometimes it speaks to maintenance. You'll find that in areas like Blomhof, the investment, the capital investment is almost 100 years old. Yeah. So somehow in the system you would have that kind of fallout. And I think to a certain extent, in our quest to provide a redistributive provision of water, we somehow lack a bit on investing at agreed benchmarks in terms of operations and maintenance. Yeah. And through the infrastructure grant system, we are now rectifying that to make sure that municipalities don't only receive capital allocation, they also receive and reserve a certain component of about 10% for operations and maintenance.
Yeah, and also to ensure that when there is a leak and when, I mean, I drive on the streets many times and I see a big A big, massive water leak, and it's been running for a long time, sometimes days, and nobody fixes it. So that needs to be,
it's what actually came out
seen
in one of our indicators, the one that speaks to water conservation. We have what we call non-revenue water.
Yeah.
I think as a country we still have something more than 25% that we lose water through leakage and so on and so on.
Yeah.
It's huge in terms of our water security, and I think investment on catchment of water, conservation and treatment is one of the key factors that this benchmarking done by Salga speaks to that.
Xolile, I've got to wrap this interview, but I cannot let you go without just addressing one of the newspaper headlines, and that's on the Times, where there's a story now basically saying that the free water, the 6,000 litres of water that residents get for, you know, on a monthly basis, is going to come to an end, and that every time we turn on our tap, we have to pay for that water. So that's going to be gone. Is this true? Is this what's going to happen to us in the future?
It's a matter on the table. The new Ministry of Water and Sanitation has released 12 policy positions in terms of how do we take the water and sanitation process forward. And one of those speaks to us to ensure what we call proper targeting. Proper targeting means that that allocation that we have on free basic, initially it was provided to everyone, but we're looking at much more targeting so that the reach in terms of reaching people, not reach on the pocket. Yeah. We have a much more better targeting. Otherwise, people who are indigent must receive and will continue to receive this. But people who are able to afford and pay, we must make sure that there's a cost-reflective mechanism that makes sure that the water we provide to your house, you are able to pay for it when you can afford. But people who are unable to afford, the allocation we have of 6 kiloliters must have a better targeting for those households. So it's a matter of discussion, and I think once it comes out finally, we will communicate.
All right, let's leave it at that. Thank you for the explanation and for coming in and talking about this. Xolile George, he is the CEO of Salga. All right, time now to get to your